do in a meditation about 25, 30 minutes long. And the theme that I'm going to be exploring, I was here a few weeks ago, and I find it very relevant, is that of cultivating compassion. Compassion, it feels always so relevant. And I'll talk about why. And compassion really is this quality of the heart that's always here, always available in all of us, that can respond in a liberated experience in a way that feels freeing and transformative in any moment of suffering, our own or others. Now, do you feel the possibility of that for you in life as it is right now? So with that, I'm inviting you to close your eyes and just find a posture, and maybe in the spirit of compassion, feel your body. You might want to stretch a little bit. Gentle, warm stretching, just as a way to warm up and connect to the body. We'll start by really settling in this way, and let this stretching be an experience of a compassionate response to your own body. Really feel this body. It's often carrying and holding a lot of stress for us. So maybe a gentle roll of the shoulders back, and feel it. Let the body say, thank you. Let the body say thank you. So we'll settle first, and then I will allow there to be, if it feels good, just a natural flow into compassion for ourselves and others. And I will be talking about how mindfulness is the foundation to accessing compassion. So we'll see how this feels in the meditation this morning. So closing the eyes gently and just noticing how it feels for you to just really, truly just stop and to be present to what's real for you right now. Very simple. It's right here. It's all here. And in support of being present, you can just take a nice deep breath to feel the body. Slow, drink it in. Really feel the breathing body, and as you exhale, it can be nice to slow it down and to let go into what's here. As you breathe out, sometimes it can be nice to just let there be an audible sigh into There's a lot that we're holding. It's like at times we're often just bracing against what's here, and we're just softening. And opening. And see how that feels, just to soften a bit. And be receptive. What's so powerful about this practice is there's nothing you have to do or make happen. It's more feeling and knowing in a particular way what's already here. and discovering as a natural byproduct a kind of freedom, kind of natural freedom. So take as many kind of deep cleansing breaths as your body would like, as your system. Yeah. And as support for your practice today, it's lovely to, we'll settle a bit in the body a little bit more, but to actually just notice this very good and wholesome heart that brought you here. Feel into the, if you like, the heart center, the quality of care, tenderness. You could say compassion as well. That perhaps your presence here is evidence of a kind of compassionate response to yourself and to others at this moment in your life. To honor that, to feel it, the warmth of it. My teacher says practice should always be juicy. So feel into that warm, goodness at the heart of your being. And as you do that, you might want to just gently, in the spirit of intentionality, to just inquire why you're here really. What's it really about for you? What's this? Why are you here? You don't have to think about it. You just let that drop into the heart. Why? Let the heart respond. And with that as a kind of inner compass, you can then begin to feel and notice, just to support some mindfulness, any region or area of your body in this moment that offers itself as a kind of supportive, maybe even easeful place to just land. It's placing this awareness perhaps into the felt sense of the hands. Perhaps the hands just feel kind of surprisingly peaceful and calm. And you can really just rest in that, in those sensations in the hands. And let that be. Or perhaps just the weight of the body. It can be so reassuring to feel the body and the contact with the earth element, the weight of the body. Cradled, held, literally, by the earth's embrace in this moment. Just be held and feel that. Or perhaps it's the flow of the breath, gentle waves on a calm sea, already flowing. The, the breath is breathing you every moment. Just feel the rhythmic flow of the breath and rest in that experience as it is. So the choice is yours, giving you permission to discover for you where it feels most supportive to just rest and land. And this quality of awareness, this quality of knowing, feeling, let it just rest there. And I will say that just in support of people who are new to the practice, that there very often there's an experience of contrast where there might be some area in the body that feels peaceful and calm in the moment, to your surprise. But that the mind may be very busy and active, and this is normal. We tend to be so identified with the content of the mind. And see what it's like with a quality of gentle patience to just allow the awareness to become untangled, to not get too caught up in that, and set the mind free. Let it go do whatever it's going to do. Don't worry about it. Like a background noise or chatter. And then return gently. And it's how you return. With a warm, friendly, wholesome quality of awareness. Let it be warm. Back to the breath. Or any part of the body in the here and now. And rest in that. Now, if this feels beneficial and supportive to you, you can just stay and remain in that first foundation of mindfulness, that of knowing the body, becoming embodied. But if you feel somewhat settled, you can allow the flow of the breath in the body to support more ease. And we'll move into some compassion practice, really building and flowing with the breath, and just see how this feels for you. You can allow the breath to expand to the whole body, just feeling that gentle expansion as you breathe in, contraction as you breathe out. And then you can allow the flow of the breath to begin to flow into the heart center, that quality of our being, always present, where we feel connection and love and compassion, care. And see what it's like to just allow the breath to flow into the heart just naturally. You can lean back and just let the breath do all of that for you, and see what it's like as you breathe in to feel your own heart. And whatever you notice as you begin to enter that landscape. Perhaps the heart feels open and warm, or perhaps the heart feels more contracted. And that is really okay. It's more knowing, it's more than knowing. As the breath flows into the heart, where's your heart at? And as the breath flows into the heart center, perhaps you do notice that there is any degree of suffering or challenge or stress for you. And I invite you to incline just a bit more on the experience of the in-breath, and that this can be all for you. This is really always flowing in your direction. Let the breath stay with the experience of it, and let it be a warm flow of tenderness to yourself. Especially to any tight or contracted places in the heart of suffering. And there's no intention to fix, it's just a flow of care and love. Let the breath flow all for you, and this is just all for you. If you find yourself getting a bit caught up in any story in your mind, just see if you can gently let that go and return into the flow of the breath flowing directly into the felt sense of the heart. Stay there. Stay in the flow. And if you want to, you can add some words. We often add language to compassion practice, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I'll offer just a few gentle words and see how it lands with every breath as you breathe in, all for you. May I be free of suffering. May I find what I need in this life. May I care for myself. This is hard, but I'm here. I am right here, right here. Now you can stay with the in-breath, primarily just drinking in with every breath, just a warm flow. Just a warm flow. Allowing it to gently nourish and heal with every breath as you breathe in. Just receive. But if you like, you can gently allow the awareness to shift to the out-breath and just a primarily feeling. The breath is always here for us. Feeling the experience of the breath as you breathe out. And this can be a flow of compassion out from your heart. And see if anybody comes to mind who you care for, who is in need of some compassion, who perhaps is struggling. And see who shows up. Allow their image, if it shows up, to become quite vivid, as if they're right here with you. And just let the breath flow from your heart to theirs. Your love, your care, your understanding. Not to fix or change them, but to hold their suffering with compassionate presence. Allow the breath to be a real vehicle, a felt vehicle, as natural and abundant, as simple as the breath. That flow from your heart to theirs. May you be well. May you have all that you need. May you know that I'm here for you. I care. May you be at ease. May you be free of all suffering. May you be free. And then in the last minutes of this practice, it's all for you to really discover for yourself, to make this your own. This guidance is offered humbly. And you can just allow the awareness now to flow into the full length of the breath, both the in-breath, and when you drink in and feel the breath, that is all for you. That's a felt, palpable flow of compassion and love to yourself. Warm, available. And when you breathe out, it flows outward, and it can continue to flow out to that being that you brought to mind, or if you like, it can flow out into the world. It can flow out to your loved ones and beyond. You can just see and trust and allow it to flow as it feels right and authentic. So for these last minutes, I invite you to just breathe in compassion, letting it flow to you for all the reasons in your life. Just receive, and then as you breathe out, just allowing that flow to travel and support others. In this way, the breath can be an ocean of compassion. The breath connects us all. We're all breathing together. There is no separation, truly. An ocean of compassion. I will say too, because it's so beautiful to practice in Sangha, in community. It's a supportive factor, a radically supportive factor dating back to the Buddha. And if you like, just feel the practice together, the other beings here, and feel the support. Let it support your practice naturally. As we come to the end of this practice, although of course it never ends, really, truly. I'll just offer this poem by Miller Williams. It's called Compassion. Have compassion for everyone you meet, even if they don't want it. What seems conceit, bad manners, or cynicism is always a sign of things that no ears have heard, no eyes have seen. You do not know what wars are going on down there, where the spirit meets the bone. And feel free to open your eyes and, deep bow to everyone. I'm so proud that you're all here. It's a good sign. You should feel so good about being here. Don't you think this is important? Yeah, I do. I'm so grateful for this practice right now in the world. So I'm going to say a few words about compassion. I feel like those online can't see us here in the room, but maybe everyone in the room, we can turn around and see them and wave, and just know that we're all waving to you, and you guys can wave back to us so that you feel felt. Yeah. Oh, isn't that nice to see them though? Y'all here? That we're all here together. It's a nice, wonderful group of people here. So I'll say some words about compassion. I like to frame it, from a more traditional sense, dating back to the Buddha, of course, but then, of course, it's so relevant, and I'll try to make it as relevant as possible. I'll just kind of give a traditional kind of framing, and then I'd like to kind of focus a bit on how mindfulness really can be a foundation for compassion to bloom in the moment as an authentic experience, very liberating, very healing in these times for us all, both for ourselves and for others. Compassion flows, as you noticed in that practice this morning, compassion can flow for ourselves and others. So I'll break this down a bit. So, as many of you know who practice, compassion is simply one of the Brahma Viharas. This is these qualities of the heart that we cultivate, that it's translated as being kind of safe house. How are you doing there? You okay? You have all you need? Awesome. Thank you. So, it is this really beautiful refuge. It's a place where our hearts can rest, and compassion in particular is where our hearts can rest and stay open in moments specifically of suffering. So you can wonder for yourself, when does that happen, right? This is a real practice that we learn to cultivate. So also, to understand how important and vital compassion is to our practice. As you heard me say, it's not a dry practice, this is a juicy practice. Did that resonate for folks? Often it can get dry and we're like, why am I doing this? So it's often said that there are two wings of practice, and we're cultivating and really feeling into these two wings. It's like an image of a bird that when we practice, it starts to feel like it flies. We go, oh yeah, this is flowing in my life. This is really helping and supporting me in the ways that I would like. And the two wings of practice are wisdom. This is where, and maybe you noticed it in this practice today, that when we do stop, when we actually stop and become present, well, we start to feel the truth of things. Wisdom is often referred to as being with things or seeing things as they really are. Now that's very important. It allows for insight, it allows for deep understanding, but I'm sure you all agree that it can be sobering. It's like, oh, really, my mind is like that? Do you guys know what I mean? It's like, is that really what's going on in my head? I'd rather just, go get some ice cream or something, right? We start to see the truth. Now, because it's sobering, of course, the other wing is compassion and kindness. There has to be this quality of the heart opening to the truth and holding it with so much love. Such responsiveness. That compassion becomes, for me in my practice, it's often referred to this though, that in those moments that are harder and harder to be with, compassion is kind of a glue. It allows us to stay present even then. Because remember, in this practice, we're opening to all experience, all pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. There's no leaving anything out here. And so compassion is this kind of glue that allows us to stay present. And believe me, I'll talk about it a little bit. How often is it that moments are hard? What do you think? How much? How much of the time? Anybody? What'd you say? Always. Well, this is what I'm gonna the Buddha, and this is what the Buddha said. It's kind of always. It's kind of, but our minds want it to be different, and we often think, oh, if I just worked harder, or if I was a better person, oh, if I did this or did that, oh, everything would line up. It's just my fault. Does anyone resonate with that? It's not your fault. I want to cry when I say that. It's not. It's not your fault at all. So this practice, and just to frame it a little bit, compassion, just to give you a working definition so that we can kind of all get on the same page together. It is this authentic response when we become mindfully aware of any suffering in any moment in ourselves or others that cares, that loves, that says, oh, I'm so sorry, and does this, just goes, there with you. And in that, in the heart opening in that way, as a natural byproduct, we can't want it as a goal. We find that we feel so much better. We suffer less. External conditions remain, but we're different with it. Do you feel what I'm saying here? Yeah. So I'm going to talk, if Buddhism, and just to get really clear, because sometimes there's not clarity about this, the Buddha was all about just, and it's so relevant, it's not dogmatic at all. It's just so real and practical. It's that the practice is about the understanding of suffering, but the good news is the freedom from it. In things as they really are. This is a practice of liberation. In things as they really are. And maybe it's good news that there's freedom for all of us. So I'll talk about, the Buddha talked about if we're going to understand suffering, and I'll just tip into this a little bit. The Buddha outlined 3 kinds of suffering, and let's just see if you agree. He didn't say, I love it. He just says, this is true. It's just a given. He says it's neither pessimistic or optimistic. It's just realistic. And remember, when we're becoming present to wisdom, we're waking up to the truth of things as they are. So what are the three kinds of suffering that he said are just kind of come with the territory of the human condition? And we're learning to get to know it and to be with it differently. First, he said, is the suffering of pain. Who has a body here? Does everyone have a body? Has anyone been sick or had any physical issues? Who hasn't? There's nobody who hasn't, I'm sure. Right? Anybody here getting old? I am. It's funny, right? But why do we laugh? Because it's so true. That it's just true for all of us, right? We fight getting old in this culture. We do weird things to our bodies. Yeah. So the truth of that, and this is nothing wrong with it. It's just inevitable. It's just part of the. So do you all agree that's true? Okay. Check. The next one is, he said, is the pain of impermanence and constant change. Nothing lasts. Nothing lasts. And not only that, I mean, when I say that, does that land for you, the truth of that? Can you all verify that that's true? How that feels for you? And not only that nothing lasts, but there is this kind of constant change. It's hard to be with, isn't it? Don't you think, wouldn't you love it if things just kind of stayed in a certain way that, okay, but you find yourself with what you feel is like, okay, I'm here. And then it changes again. Isn't it constantly just like that? And it can be hard to be with. This causes suffering, does it not? How does it cause suffering? The Four Noble Truths is that we cling. We try to say it's going to stay, and we hold on, don't we? We hold on. Before I practiced, I felt like I was white-knuckling it constantly. Do you guys know what I mean by that? I was like, ah. And in the practice, we're learning to understand that this is just true. And what happens? We let go. And we go back into the flow of things as they are. And we are with it as it is. We are with life as it is. And it feels less stressful, better. Now, there's a kind of trust that comes with letting go. And that's something that we cultivate in the practice. So do we all agree about constant change and impermanence? That this is kind of what we're up against? And then the third dukkha, or dukkha is translated as suffering, is this kind of, and it's the more interesting one to me, and it's so amazing how he names it. It's this unsatisfactoriness of things, that external conditions are just not reliable and sustainable for any lasting happiness or peace. They're constantly changing, right? But not only that, they very, very rarely line up in the way we like. Do you know what I mean? Like, you might have a great moment. You'll be in a great moment. But there's always just something. Would you agree with me? Never quite perfect. Like there's no perfection. Ever. That can be hard to be with, right, everybody? So it causes us a pervasive kind of stress. And learning to be with these things through wisdom and compassion is that's the gold we're mining. So where's the liberation in all this? In the truth of the suffering of the human condition, how can we be free? And the Buddha really points to a formula, and I'll just say a few words about this. And that is, there's inevitable pain. We can't control these three things, and more than that, right? Can't control it. So pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And who knows this teaching of the second arrow? Does anyone, when I was here, I talked about it. And this is what we learn to notice in our direct experience in the moment whenever we're suffering. There is that initial first arrow. This is a deep teaching of the Buddha. Maybe many of you know it. That first arrow is that inevitable pain. It's, ooh, I'm growing old. Ooh, you know, I lost a person I loved. Who's lost someone they've loved? Yeah, that's just that first arrow of truth. There's nothing we can do that. We have to be with that pain as part of the human condition. But then inevitably the second arrow of our reactivity, the mental, immediately and almost unconsciously, we don't even notice that we're doing it. There'll just be this immediate add-on in our own minds of saying, I don't like that, I don't want that. Or how many of you, when you're suffering or have that first arrow of pain, feel like it means that there's something wrong with you and that you are defective, or that you're just not working hard enough, or something like that? That's a lot of second arrow, where the self, who has an inner critic that's quite loud, that's a second arrow. So we're learning through compassion and love to notice moments of suffering of the second arrow, and the love and the care that we bring to ourselves takes it out. We drop that. And you know, it's still painful, but we suffer so much less. It's not what's happening, it's how we are with it that determines whether we suffer or not. So compassion is relational, so I want to move a little bit into mindfulness as a support. I'll just say a little bit more. Compassion is a verb. It's often referred to as a responsive quality that shows up and acts. It's a relational practice. And one thing I want to fine-tune about it is that in relationship to others, compassion, how many of you have people in your life who are suffering or going through something? And there's a difference, and I want to fine-tune this because there's often a misunderstanding about compassion practice that, and I often share this, there's a difference between empathy and compassion. We're all empathic. We're all relationally connected to each other. You guys know what it means when you're with someone you care about and they feel sad, you feel sad with them. Or when someone walks into a room that just has a certain quality, you catch it. Do you know what I mean? You feel it like it's your own. So empathy is really this experience of feeling someone else's pain as if it's your own. It basically, empathy says, I feel you, right? Now that's a lovely empathic connection, but over time what happens? You both start drowning together in the sadness and the suffering. So it's not a sustainable quality to be in. But compassion, in contrast, is a quality, it's I feel you but with love. It's it's empathy plus love. And as Venerable Analayo, one of my teachers, says, I love it when he says this, he says, to really practice compassion, and he is a scholar, Buddhist monk and Theravadan scholar, he says to really practice compassion, you have to really, your focus is not on the suffering. He said that would be a meditation on dukkha. That would be dukkha meditation. He says the experience is compassion is to allow the awareness to focus more on the wish that they be free. The wish that they have all that they need. The holding that they have what they need, that they'll get what they need, that they'll be free, they'll find their way. Do you feel the difference in that? So, and they've done studies on this where they've done, they can see what's happening in the brain now. And when people are in empathic resonance with people, the centers of the brain that are related to negative emotions light up. So it's a downward spiral, truly. But when people are in a compassionate connection with others, the positive regions of the brain light up. So this really and as Analayo says, and in my experience, there is a bittersweet quality to it, but it's an experience of joy. There's no such thing as compassion fatigue. In fact, we really need it more when we're suffering. So it's empathy fatigue is the appropriate term. So it's beautiful to address that. So given framing that so that we're clear about what we're practicing when we practice compassion, it's our heart opening with love for ourselves or others and wishing that you be free, that you may be free, and just resting in that. In deep connection with yourself and others, being right there in it with them. It's not a fix. Compassion practice is not a fix. So why is mindfulness a deep foundation? In order for the heart, remember, it's in the present moment that this stuff blooms. Do you guys know the phrase, no mud, no lotus? We have to be in the mud of things. And when we are mindfully, when we're not in our own way, when there's not the reactivity of the second arrow, we're just with the truth of it, the pain of it, the heart in an authentic way blooms in this beautiful way. So we have to really be in it a little bit in the moment as it's happening. This is not a hypothetical. This is not a should. This is an opening to things as they are, mindfully, and then discovering the heart's freedom and an awakened heart in the world. What is it to have an awakened heart in the world as it is? So with other people, I just want to share a brief story with other people. It can be hard, isn't it, to be compassionate for people that we don't know why they're doing what they're doing, right? So much suffering. And Jack Kornfield, he tells a story that I think points to this, and I'll share a personal experience of mine so you can get a flavor of how this can unfold in your life. He uses this beautiful metaphor of being at the grocery store, and you're carrying, you're finished shopping, you've got 2 big bags of groceries, and you're walking out of the grocery store, and somebody comes and hits you, like runs into you, and the groceries go flying. What do? Don't you get mad and upset? You go, ah. But then, he says, you turn to see who hit you, and you look to see that it's a blind person. Now, when you notice they're blind, what happens? Are you angry anymore? Do you feel do you feel that shift? So he says we're all kind of blind by our anger, blind by our aversion. We can't see the truth that this person is actually struggling with something or going through something that they are not able to manage well. Right. So I had this experience. It's just very poignant to me. It's very simple, but it kind of, I hope it illustrates kind of how this can be. I was parking my car. I was doing an errand on Hollywood Boulevard, which is kind of, who's been on Hollywood Boulevard? It's kind of, do you see in your mind kind of where I'm at? So I'm running an errand, and I put money in the meter, but not very much, like a nickel or something, because I thought I'd just be there a short time. And I come out of my errand, and it's taken longer than I thought. And I come, and I'm walking back to my car, and there is a parking ticket guy giving me a ticket. So immediately, I get upset. I don't want a ticket. And that energy, right? And I go over to the guy, and I start, hey, I put money in. I'm leaving now. Whatever you do, right? And then I've learned in my practice not to get reactive, to not act, and to not come from that place. It doesn't help. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? It never makes it better. So of course, standing there on Hollywood Boulevard, I noticed it. I took a deep breath. I felt my body, and I regulated a little bit. And as I did so, something happened where I was still standing there with him. And suddenly, because I became more present, I could see him. And it still makes me emotional. I don't know why, but He was not looking at me. He was completely like his physical, he was just completely closed as a person. He was just doing his ticket. I could see the suffering in his body. He was, I don't know, there was something really hard about what was going on for him. And he was just contracted. He was completely not going to listen to anything I said. He was almost like armored. And suddenly I went, oh my goodness. This guy probably gets yelled at all the time. And not only that, his job is giving people tickets. I know somebody has to do that, but how painful. So then I suddenly just felt so much compassion. As I saw him, it shifted immediately. And I just felt for him. And he finished writing out the ticket. And I just looked at him. And he gave me the ticket, and I said, thank you. And I said, I hope you have a good day. I don't know if he heard me or not, but he walked off. And, I got in my car, and, for the rest of the day, I kind of thought of him and wished that he'd be okay and wished that he'd be well, But that's an illustration of how this practice can unfold. There does need to be a little bit of presence. Do you feel what I'm saying? So that you can really kind of see what's going on. And then if you do, typically you'll not be blind anymore to what's really going on. And then I'll just end by, when we practice for ourselves, how many of you ever notice when you're actually suffering? Or is it just we have so many habitual tendencies and strategies to not feel or know the truth of our experience. Suffering is painful, right? So how many of you, what do you do when you're suffering? Does anyone have what do you do typically? What happens? Eat. Yeah. We eat, we distract ourselves, we blame ourselves. We do all kinds of things, don't we, rather than feel the truth. And in this practice, mindfulness allows us, I teach mindful self-compassion. Mindfulness allows us to be present with our own experience as it is, without the second arrow, without adding on more, without making it bad. And then we can actually stop in a moment and say, oh, I'm suffering. Oh, and actually attend to the suffering rather than getting all caught up in the content of the situation. Do you feel the difference there? Trying to figure out, trying to fix it, And then when we do really care for ourselves and hold ourselves, and then that bloom of the heart for ourselves happens. And then, interestingly enough, in that same situation, in my experience, when I can hold it with self-compassion, when I can hold myself with this tenderness and really care about myself, I'm so much more skillful and able to navigate that situation with so much more wisdom and love. Do you know what I mean? I find my way. So I feel like I've said a lot, but I'm passionate about the subject. So, and I hope it scaffolds for you a little bit of how to navigate your life, your moments. It is about being present in it as it's happening for ourselves and others.